So I made this video to show you my do-it-yourself sewer video camera. If you were to look online and you were to go and Google sewer camera, you would come across all of these really expensive options you have here to buy a camera that you get to insert into a drain. Now, all of these expensive options are great if you have the money, but most of Americans don't have $2,000 to spend on a 200-foot inspection camera for your everyday clog, or maybe even something a little bit bigger than your everyday clog. So what I did was I went online. I bought this off of Amazon. You can buy any version you like. There's a bunch of different versions like this. But this is a camera that is waterproof that will connect through USB to your laptop. And I was able to put this down. The sewer line. Now, I personally bought a 50-foot one. They sell 100-foot ones. A lot of them are 25 feet. And it actually worked out really well. As you can see here, it has an LED on the tip of the camera. Obviously, the pipe, when you insert it down the sewer line, is dark. And as you can see here, you could use it to hook onto certain things to actually catch something if it's stuck someplace. This is what it looks like when you actually insert it underwater. And this is the disc that it comes with and a few other things. Now, this is the particular one I purchased. It was only $29.88, and I actually ended up attaching it to this, which is just people call it plumbing snake, or auger, whatever you want to call it. Use whatever you want to call it. Now, let me show you what that looks like. I literally used some zip ties and just connected it to that snake. Now, this snake, that camera put together is pretty much the same thing as a sewer camera. Now, I know that it's obviously the sewer camera is going to be a little bit better, but I mean, just to show you the two things that I put together, which is the waterproof USB camera, which is this right here, and the snake here at $21.47, it shows you that I didn't spend much. I mean, for less than $60, I put something into the sewer line, and it was able to show me exactly what's down there. Now, for this particular project, I also purchased this drum machine. Did I need it? It made my job easier. Also, I like my tools, so it was a good excuse to buy one since I know I'm going to be using it throughout my entire life anyway. These, just as a side note, if you do decide to purchase something like this, just be careful. You can actually damage your pipe. If you have like a PVC pipe and you put this cutter, as you see here, you could actually do damage to the pipe and like bore a hole in the actual pipe, which will kind of suck. But that's why that camera comes in handy, because you get to see what you're working with. Me in particular, I actually used this camera, and the pipe that was clogged was a kitchen sink, and I wanted to see what kind of pipes were under the ground. Now, the pipe the pipe that's under the sink was PVC, and then it actually went into cast iron. So I knew that whatever I was doing down there with this snake, it was just cast iron. As you can see, that's just the length of the camera, and then there goes the zip ties every about 6 inches. So I know every time I pass about 6 inches, and then another 6 inches, that's a foot, and I can kind of measure how deep I'm going into the pipe. Just to show you another photo, I have this one on the bottom. It shows the LED, and it shows me pushing that snake down. Now, while I go over a few other things, I'm actually going to play the video that I recorded on my computer while I was trying to use this new device, this new DIY thing. Now, that's just the kitchen that I was in earlier, and this is me inserting the camera in. Now, at this point, I did not clear the line. Normally, when you have no water in the line, it's actually easier. But this is, as you can see, there was water, and before I entered the camera in there, as you can see, the water was dirty. Of course, the water is likely going to be dirty, but I tried to test out my luck to put it down there. I'm just going to fast forward through this because even if I make it bigger, you're going to see that I really didn't see much at the first time, because obviously the water is dirty and it's difficult to see through dirty water. So what I did was I inserted the snake, this particular snake, and I put it down. Actually, I inserted a different kind of snake. It was a hand snake. It was more like it's called like a pistol grip. It's a smaller one that you use in your hand. I could actually get the photo for you if you want me to, but it pretty much looks like this with a case around it. I put that one down there first. I realized that there was this grease-like material coming back. So I knew that there was grease in the pipe. The question is, I didn't know how much grease, which is a big plus for me figuring that out. And that was before I actually used the camera. What I was afraid of, well, that was me putting the camera back in, was I was going to see something similar to this. I was going to see tree roots in the plumbing system because I owned that house for a while, and I was always afraid there was some tree roots in the plumbing. And that's why that inspection camera was important, because even though there's tree roots, if there were, grease would build up around it still. You could take the grease out and think everything's fine, but then in 4 or 5 years, you might figure out that the whole entire pipe is plugged up, which would be a big problem. So what I did was I used the new tool that I bought today. I did not use the cutter. I actually used a different tip on it. And the tip on this particular machine that I used to take the grease out was this one, because I didn't want to do too much damage to the pipe. So anyway, I used the machine as it should be used, and I was able to plow through all that grease. And after I plowed through all that grease in the pipe, pulling it back on and putting it back in again, I actually ended up finding this product, and the gentleman at Home Depot gave me a really good idea. He said I should use this after to clean out the line. Obviously, the pitch of the pipe wasn't as nice as I'd like it to be. It was almost flat, so all the grease and stuff will build up on the bottom. So anybody who owns rental properties, or any property, in fact, I would recommend you do this once a year. I purchased this for $10, but it comes with 3 different packs. What I did was I put a pack or 2 in the kitchen sink after I cleared the grease, and I had a small drain of water going through. I knew it all wasn't done, but what I did was I put this stuff in there the way it should be used, and after I was able to then get some really, really hot water, and I put it down there, waited about 15-20 minutes as it stated in the instructions, and then I put a lot of hot water down the pipe, and it cleaned out the pipe. And after I cleaned out the pipe, this is the video that I shot after I got the grease out of the pipe, and after I cleaned off the pipe as well. Now, notice that the pipe is going to be a lot cleaner, but now here's the big deal. I know that at this point the problem was solved, but what was most important at this point for me was making sure that there's no grease, and to inspect the pipe to make sure it doesn't go from a larger pipe to a smaller pipe or anything like that. That might be an issue. And another thing is I wanted to be absolutely sure that there's no tree roots. So that's me looking at my own laptop with the camera. As you can see, it doesn't focus very well in a far distance, but when you go a short distance, it focuses very well, which is important. This is me moving back and forth to get past that 90-degree elbow right under the sink. I could have moved a lot slower so you could see the details of the pipe, but I didn't. I wanted to see exactly what was blocking it. Also, when you do this, you can see if there's any fractures inside that pipe as well. As you're going to see, this camera actually did a pretty good job. A lot of people actually pay a lot of money for these national chains to come in and do exactly what I'm doing now with the device that I made with 2 hours of my time and $65. And just to put those zip ties in, it took me more time to do that than anything else. Just for the record, I called a national a plumbing company, and I don't want to say the name of this company because I really don't want to be sued by them, but I called this national company and I asked them, how much would it cost to have a video camera go down this pipe so you can tell me if there's a tree root stuck in there? And they told me, I'm not exaggerating, guys, they told me that it was $450 an hour to have someone come out and then to shoot a video, and that they'd give me a DVD, I believe they said. At this point, I was hitting the camera against the top of that pipe, but I did it anyway because it's only $25-30 for the camera. So I thought, it is what it is if it broke, but it didn't break, so it took a little beating right there. At this point, I'm almost out I'm actually in the sewer line for the house before it goes out into the street. And that thing in front of it is a zip tie that came off outside of that was holding the camera in. It came back out the pipe with me. I didn't leave that zip tie in there, which was good. But as you could see, I got enough detail to see exactly what that pipe looks like. I seen that it never had any tree roots stuck in there, which was obviously something I was very happy about. I know that some people want to see each and everything that I'm doing here, but to be honest with you, you get the point. You know, it worked out very well, and I was very happy with the way it turned out. Just to show you these pictures again, this is all it is. I took some zip ties, wrapped it around this, I think they call it an endoscopic camera. It's just a USB camera. I plug it in. It's waterproof. I zip tied it to a snake and pushed it straight down the sewer line, and it actually worked out really, really well. That's it. That's what it looks like with the camera on. You can control the camera from the laptop. It worked out so well that I actually decided to make this video, and I hope that it can help other people out there to diagnose their problems as well. I was going to use fish line for the camera, but it just didn't work out as well as it should have. The fish line, I just didn't think it would go down the pipe easier. Also, these things that you can purchase here, well worth the money. I had a tenant who flushed some stuff that they shouldn't have down the sewer line before. It actually cost me $450 for my plumber to take that out, and that was a pretty good rate because he spent about 4 hours there, a minimum, maybe 5 or 6, and he took out about probably like 15 pounds worth of stuff that should have never went down there. So it was really clogged up. But the point is that it's a money saver. So it already paid for itself the first time I used it. And if there were tree roots, just for the record, you shouldn't use a machine like this for tree roots. What I would have done if I did find tree roots in the sewer line, if I did, what I would have done was use a chemical to take that out and to kill those tree roots before I'd call a plumber. I would have had to rip up the flooring in the house, replace the pipes, or hire someone that with a big enough machine to go cut this, or use the machine myself to cut it and rent it. So obviously it's very time consuming when you have to cut the tree. So if I would have done it, I would have definitely used something to some sort of foam or some sort of chemical to get rid of the tree roots inside the sewage line. And that's pretty much my video, guys. If you have any questions, you could please just ask in the comments, and I'll be sure to answer them. If there's anything else I can do, if you have my email, you can email me if you're on certain websites that I'm on for investing and stuff like Bigger Pockets. And that is it.